Hello everyone, I welcome to you in the Digital Fashion Design Zone. In the previous session, we have already learned about the complete design process of the upper components of the side panel jacket. But still the process is going on. So in this class, in this part of the session, we will learn about the design of the facing, interfacing and the lining components of the side panel jacket. So the components are as follows. Number one is the facing components. It includes front and back facing. Second one is the interfacing components, which are as follows. Front, left and right reinforcement component. And the second one is the camel hair shoulder reinforcement component. And back shoulder reinforcement components, side panel reinforcement components, and canvas front left and right shoulder reinforcement components, shoulder padding components, collar interfacing. And the lining components, which are as follows. Number one is the front left and right lining, back lining, sleeve lining, and the belt pocket of the lining. So as you can see into the screen, this is the standard draft of the side panel jackets. With the help of this draft, we will develop all the above mentioned components. First of all, we will have to develop the facing components. So as you can see into the draft, so this line is the facing area. All this area is the front facing. Now we have to draft the back facing area also. So it's very easy. Just you go to the create offset and you have to select the back line. Left click, right click and then OK and activate value and enter here 4 centimeter the back facing width and hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Now you have to go modify tool, point line, and just this point you have to increase the outward. Similarly, this portion has already been increased, so right click and then OK. Now you have to go click and you have to clip this line by this center line like this, and similarly you have to clip this unwanted portion by this line. Right click and then OK. Now you can see the back facing areas has also been identified. Now let me trace the front and back facing. So you have to go to the create menu and select the trace tool and just you have to select the area by left click and you have to select this area in a clockwise direction. And you can see red line. These are the selection area of the front interfacing. After the selection, just you have to right click and then OK. Repeat the process, right click and then OK. Now you can see here, this components is the front facing or facing, and just hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Go to the annotation and just select this area and give the name as a front facing. So how much components you have to cut the front facing, you can mention over here, cut 2. And just change the font size by 2 and you can apply it and you can check whether the annotation properly arranged or you can move it also with the help of move tool. In anywhere you can fix in a proper place and then OK. Right click and then OK. These are the facing components. Now we have to trace or develop the back facing components also. So just to go to the trace, select this trace tool and select this area in a clockwise direction. So your red area, you can see here, this portion is the back facing area. Right click and then OK again, right click and then OK. Now you have to left click and give the name as a back interfacing. Hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Again we can go create annotation, and here in short we can give the name ACK FSCING, put as full, and just to change the default size by 1 and just apply it. And you can see here you can change like this also. So components, how much you want. So you want only cut one components, but it would be better. And just apply it and go to the move, and you can move it in a proper place. Or if you want to make it 0, and you can apply. Right click and then OK. So this is the back facing components. After elimination of these things, so we have to eliminate. We have to develop the interfacing components, that is the front left and the right reinforcement component. So as you can see into the standard, or we have already the components. So you can see here this is the front side panel, and you have to rearrange it in a proper place. You can see here, and another one is the front components. So this is the original components. So with the help of these components only, front, we will eliminate the front interfacing components. So just you can come here, you can see here fusible, and you have to left click over there and select this components, right click and then OK. Now minus 0.3 mm, so very minor. By the borderline of this components, we have to go inside. We have to reduce it all around the components. Right click and then OK. Now you can see this component is the fusible, or you can see the reinforcement components. So just you have to go edit annotation and select this annotation, OK, and you have to give the name as a front interfacing, and this is the front interfacing. Just apply it, and you can change the position of the annotation wherever you require it, and then OK, right click and so as you can see here, this is the original side panel components. So just to go to the create fusible and select this piece, right click and then OK, and now you have to enter here minus 0.3, and you have to hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Now you can see this components would be called as a side panel reinforcement components. Just you go edit annotation, select the annotation, right click and then OK. Now you can give the name side panel, front side panel reinforcement, and how much pieces you need. So it required 2 pieces, but 2, and just apply, and then you have to move it in your appropriate position, or you can change the default size by 1 and just apply it and move it in a proper place wherever you are comfortable, and then OK. Similarly, as you can see here, this is the back side panel components. So for this also we have to develop the reinforcement. So just repeat the process. Go to the create fusible, select this piece, right click and then OK. Enter here minus 0.3 and hit the enter button, right click and then OK, and just you can take this components, go to the edit annotation, select this, right click and then OK. Now back side panel, so reinforcement, and just you have to hit the enter button and cut 2 and just apply it, and you change the default size by 1 and apply it again, then OK. So now you can see front and back panel reinforcement components has been developed. Now we have to develop the camel hair shoulder reinforcement components, front components. So this is front and front side panel. So how we have to develop the camel hair shoulder reinforcement components? So with the help of these two components, front side panel and front components, we will have to develop the camel hair shoulder reinforcement components. So let's see how it can be possible. Just to go to the create 2 point and select this line and just press right click without releasing mouse and hit the enter button now and release the mouse, and don't hit enter button, just release the mouse, and you can see the arrow will activate. Enter here 50% and hit the enter button, and just you have to go to the vertical and just vertical. Right click and then OK. Now we have to trace this pattern like this in a clockwise direction. We have to trace this area. After tracing it, just you can keep it here. Right click and then OK, and edit annotation and select this right click and delete this annotation is not required. So just we will go to the copy piece and we will copy this piece one more times, and we will take it over here and this components over here. Now all these two components we will have to merge it together. How we can do it? So just go modify combine keys tool and just select this. Select the first line, second line, select the first point and the second point. After that we can see here these components has been merged. Right click and then OK. Now what we have to do, we have to go combine line, right click and then OK, smooth, and you have to select right click, left click to completely smooth it. Until it completely has been smooth, right click and then OK. Now you have to go verify line length and you have to select this point and verify it. Right click and then OK. Now you have to go modify point and value you have to change. Have to click and select this point, right click and then OK. Now you have to come y-axis and now you have to enter here 0.5 and hit that. Similarly you have to select this side point, right click and then OK. Come to the y-axis box minus 0.5 and hit the enter button, right click it. Now again you have to verify whether this line is equal to 13 or not, but we can see here is still something, so we have to select and repeat the process. Right click and then OK. Come to the y-axis, you have to enter here 0.02 and hit enter. Similarly we have to select this side, right click and then OK. Come to the y-axis minus 0.02 and hit the enter button, right click. Now we can see this line is equal to 13 cm. We have to reduce, so we have to go to the create offset and we have to select this line and -1 we have to do it. And similarly we have to come to this line -1 and hit the enter button. This line also, -1 hit the enter button. Similarly this side -1 and hit the enter button, right click it. By this side also we have to reduce it by 1 centimeter, so -1 hit the right click and then Now we have to go modify point line, and just we have to change the cursor and to value, and right click and then OK, and just you have to go modify clip, and you have to clip this line by this point. After that we have to further trace the exact camel hair shoulder reinforcement component. Just to go to the create and trace, and now you have to trace this component by this line in a clockwise direction. Don't miss any single line to select. Right click and then OK, right click, and now we can see this is called the camel hair shoulder reinforcement component. Now just you have to give the short form name camel hair shoulder reinforcement component. Hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Go edit and annotation and select this, and you have to give the name camel hair shoulder reinforcement component in short. Just apply it, and how many components you require, these things also to mention. So cut 2 components, cut 2 left and right is required, and then OK. Now we can see this is the camel hair shoulder reinforcement component has been completely drafted. Now we have to draft the back shoulder reinforcement component. So how it is possible? So what we have to do, just you come into the draft standard draft, and first of all we have to go view and zoom in, and we have to zoom in this by this components and completely zoom in it, and go to modify split, left click to this position, drag exactly to this position, and you have to click by this position, go view and zoom out. Similarly zoom in this point, show bust line point at this position. First of all you can check whether which one is bust line point. So this is the bust line point. Just fully zoom in, go modify split, left click to this position, drag, come to the exact position point, right click and then OK, view and zoom out. You have to go to the create 2 point perpendicular line, left click to this position and right click without releasing mouse, enter here 50% and hit the enter button, and just you have to increase up to here. Right click and then OK. Now what we have to do, we have to go to the trace pattern, and by this point only we have to trace the back shoulder reinforcement. So just you can select this line in a clockwise direction. As you can see the guidelines over here, and these are the exact back shoulder reinforcement components area. Right click and then OK, again right click. So now you can see here this is the back shoulder reinforcement components, as we can see where it has gone. Okay, so now still we have to do some changes in that. So you have to go create usable, select this piece, right click and then OK, minus 0.3 and hit the enter button, right click and then OK, and this components would be your exact back shoulder reinforcement components. So now we have to go modify delete piece, and this one piece we have to delete, and then we have to go create annotation, and you have to give the name back shoulder reinforcement components. So reinforcement, that's all. And default size should be 2, and just apply and move to fix in a proper location. Okay, right click and then you have to go modify, combine, and you have to combine all these 3 split area and this also. Right click. Now we have to develop the canvas front left and right shoulder. So canvas front left and right shoulder reinforcement components. So to develop that canvas shoulder reinforcement component, we need the camel hair shoulder reinforcement. So what we have to do, we have to go to the create offset, and we have to select this activate value and minus 1.5 centimeter, and hit the enter button. Right click and then OK. And this line you have to increase, you have to join by this line. So we have to go modify point line and select this point and activate value and just increase this and this also. After increasing these 2 lines, we have to click by the exact these 2 lines. Right click and then OK. We have to go to the modify point line, and this one we should not increase, just up to here. We have to go to the create and modify split and just split this line by this side by 2 centimeter and hit the enter button. Right click and then OK, and modify delete line. Right click and then OK. Now you have to go create 2-point curve and just come to this end point, similarly to this end point. Now you have to draw like this canvas front left and right shoulder reinforcement. So as you can see here, but you should have to be careful about that. It should not merge with the facing area, as you can see here. So like this you have to draft. After drafting it, you have to bring your facing and you check it, it's okay. Yes. Now we have to trace this portion. So we have to go create, trace, and we have to trace it like this. Right click and then OK, right click. Now we can see this is called the canvas front left and right shoulder reinforcement. So give name canvas shoulder reinforcement, hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Go to the edit annotation, select this, right click and delete this annotation. Now you have to go create annotation and you have to give the name to this components as canvas shoulder reinforcement component. Just hit enter button, cut. How many pieces you need? 2, and default size you have to change by 1 by 2 by 2 and just apply it. If you are comfortable with the location of the annotation, just confirm it by pressing OK button, right click and next one is shoulder padding components, which is very important. We have to know how to draft the shoulder padding components. So come to your standard draft and we have to go to the create, trace, and we have to trace these components in this way, as you can see here. I will tell. Just you select in this way and in a clockwise direction. After selection, right click and then OK. You select this line and these two lines also. Right click and then OK. Now let us bring it over here. So this is one portion. Just bring these three components close to each other. Now things is that you have to go to the create and modifying tools, combine. You have to select make two pieces into one. Now just you have to select this point, then you have to combine. After making combination of this, just you have to go combine line and select this line, right click and then OK, and you have to go smooth and select this and right click and then OK, and you have to smooth it exactly. After that you have to go verify line length and just check how much is this. This is 12 centimeter, but exactly it is required by 13. Go modify point. First of all, you activate value, select this point, right click and then OK. Come to the y-axis and the 0.5 and hit the enter button. Similarly, come to this side, right click and then OK. Come to the y-axis, minus 0.5 and hit the enter button. Again, select this point, right click and then OK. Come to the y-axis, 0.02 and hit the enter button. Come to this point, right click and then OK. Y-axis, minus 0.02 and hit the enter button. Right click and then OK. Now it is 13 centimeter and this component is also 13 required. After that, what we have to do, as you can see, verify line length and it should also be 13. Right click and then OK. This component keep as it is, just bring it and go to the modify, rotate, select this piece, right click and then OK. Select the point of rotation, activate value, and just you can move it like this. Right click and then OK, and just bring it over here. Same thing, you have to go combine piece and select this line and this line, and you will see that these two pieces has been combined. After the combination of these two pieces, first of all you have to go create 2 point and just you have to go exact to this point. After that you go modify combine line and these two line then you go smooth and select the point and define the ranges wherever we want to smooth, and after that left click continue, make it proper smooth. After that we have to go smooth too and go to the point line and just you have to increase it a little bit ahead. After that right click and then OK. Now you have to go click and just clip this line by this point. Right click and then OK. Now we have to, first you have to go view and zoom in, select this point. You have to completely zoom in it, go modify, split, and you have to split by this exact point. And after that you have to go view and zoom out. Now you have to go create 2-point curve and come by this point and end point just by 3 centimeter, hit the enter button, and from this location similarly we have to come here and we have to divide it by 50%, this line. So just you have to hit the 50% here, hit the enter button. After that we have to give a proper shape to this line, like this, padding, proper shape. After giving it proper shape, we just go mirror and select this line, right click and then OK. And by this line we have to mirror. Right click and then OK. We have to go create, offset, select this and activate value minus 1.5. Hit enter button. Similarly, this one again minus 1.5. Hit enter button. So again you have to go offset, select this point minus 1.5 and hit the enter button. Right click and then OK. Now we have to go modify and point line, and we have to increase it by downward like this. Similarly, we have to increase this also. After increasing it, we have to go clip and we have to clip this line by the same exact line. As we have to delete line, and this line we can see here, and what we have to delete, click, select this and right click and then OK. Here also we can see this line should exactly match with this shoulder line. So point line, just you have to increase it here. This also you have to increase it by this line and go to the clip. And similarly we have to clip it, right click and then OK. After that we have to go create mirror, and we have to mirror these two lines. Right click and then OK, and we have to mirror it. Right click and then OK. But we can see here some line is not touching to this front arms up. So we have to again go modify point line. So whatever line is not touching, just we have to increase it a little bit. Right click and then OK. Then you have to go clip option. You select it and you have to clip by this line. Similarly this too. After the confirmation of all these things, you have to trace the heading pattern. So just you go create, trace, and you have to trace first of all this line. Right click and then OK. Cancel it. It's a mistake. Go to the trace, and you have to trace in a clockwise direction without any mistake. Right click and select this point. So this line also. Now this is the first padding piece. Padding 1, hit the enter button, right click and then OK, and you go modify, clip, and you have to select this and you have to clip it. Go to the realign and you have to realign it. First padding, so just to go annotation and you have to give the name P1. Padding 1, default size by 2, and just apply. Similarly, we have to trace the padding second in a clockwise direction. Right click and then OK, and like this. Padding 2 and hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Modify, clip, and select this clip converted portion. Create annotation, and you have to give the name P2, default size by 2, apply, and similarly we have to go to the trace and we have to trace the padding. But tracing should be in a clockwise direction. Suppose we are tracing, so select this and all this line, outer line, right click and then OK, right click. Now you have to give the name P3 and hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Annotation P3 and default size by 2, apply and then right click OK. So all these three padding components have been drafted. Next things is that color interface. So color interfacing we have to draft. So we can see here is the color components. So just you take the color components. This is upper color component. So the reinforcement, so we have to apply by the upper components of the color. So just you select the upper color components, go to the create and fusible, select this component and -0.3 and hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Now you can see here and go to the edit annotation like this, and you can give the name as color reinforcement and cut only one. We have to cut one components only and just apply it and just move it, and you have to fix it in a proper place, then OK, right click. Now we can see here this is the color reinforcement components also has been developed. Now we have to develop the lining components, front, left and the right line. So front, left and right lining we will trace with the help of this drafting step. So as earlier, facing components we have already completed. So we have to trace the lining. So go to the trace and first front components lining. So this is the front lining by this line. Right click and then OK, right click. So this is the front lining. Hit the enter button, right click and then OK. Go annotation and give the name front lining and default size by 2, apply and then OK. So this is the front line. So components, how much would be? It should be 2 components. Go edit annotation and front lining cut 2. Okay, so how much pieces you have to cut? 2. Just apply and then OK. If you want to move it, just like this, you go to the move and you can move it wherever you want. After that we have to go front side panel lining. So you have to go create trace and you have to trace this front lining components in a clockwise direction. So this is the front side line. The front side lining components. In short, we will provide the name front side lining components. Default size by 2, because this components we have to cut 2 pieces. So just cut 2, apply and then OK. Now we have to trace the back components. So side panel back lining you can see here. So trace, this is the back side lining components. Back side lining components. So backs, give the in short back side lining components and go to the annotation, back side lining components, cut 2 and default size by 2, apply, move, and you can move it here, and then okay, right click it. So after that we have to trace this backlining points. Because this back facing we have already traced, just you select this area in a clockwise direction with a careful adaptation. After selection this, right click and then OK and right click. So this is the back line components. You go annotation and this is the back lining, and cut only one pieces. The fold size should be 2. Just apply. Now we have to trace the sleeve lining components. So for the sleeve lining components, just you can see here already sleeve. Yes, you can see here. This is the lower sleeve and this is the upper sleeve. So these two sleeve components just you have to take. So lining components, because this area will be all inside, we have to trace the lining components by this portion, and this one will also be fold inward here. So lining components should be up to here only by this area. So just you have to go create trace, and you have to trace this portion by this, and it would be your sleeve lining. Just you go edit annotation and you have to give the name sleeve lining. Just you have to delete this portion, lining, apply. Okay. Similarly for this portion also we have to do go to the create trace, and we have to trace by this portion, and it would be the lower sleeve line. Hit the enter button, right click and then go edit annotation and lower sleeve lining. Hit the enter button, OK, apply, and then OK. Now the students, you can see whatever unwanted components are there, I will delete. You go modify, delete these, and all the unwanted components like this, whatever not required, and these components, all the unwanted components, front side panel and back part and back yoke, and these components we have also, and front, and all these components wherever is not required. Front facing is required, upper collar is not required, lower collar and wings, whatever components is not required, just all these, so we'll delete it. Now we will arrange all these components in a proper way. Just you select these components and you have to bring over here and select all these components and bring it here. Now we will have to maximize it. Now we can see here, for this we have to go modify delete line, and this components we have already traced, so we have to delete it. So all these padding components you can see here. This is the shoulder padding, so it has been traced similarly on this, and this one components, as you can see here, it is not required, so this also we have to delete. So these are the, you can see here, this is the facing for back components, and this is, so these are all the components which we have already discussed you how to draft all these components. So the guys, you can see here that all the components of the facing, interfacing and linings has been completely drafted in this model. So just to go to the edit, customize preferences, display and full scale, and just apply. And you can see here all these components has been successfully drafted.